What's up? You must be here for the studio tour. Hit the button, and I'll see you inside. Let me be the first to welcome you to the studio. Before we can get started, I'm going to need you to find 4 C-stands. They look like this, and they're scattered throughout the studio. Come back to me when you find them. Let me be the first to welcome you to the studio. Before we can get started, I'm going to need you to find 4 C-stands. They look like this, and they're scattered throughout the studio. Come back to me when you find them. Hey, what is up? My name is Matt Workman, and in this video, I'm going to be talking about my experience using UEFN, Unreal Engine for Fortnite. I was lucky enough to be part of the alpha program, and I've been using it for a couple months, and I'm going to talk about the project that I semi-produced in it. It's like didn't finish, but I did get to test a bunch of the stuff that I wanted to test. And then I'm going to wrap up by talking about my general impressions and things that I'm looking forward to with UEFN. So for context, to go over my background briefly, I am a professional Unreal Engine developer. I create a game that is on Steam. It's really an app called Cinetracer. Cinetracer is developed in Unreal Engine, of course, and it's a tool for professional filmmakers to be able to plan the visuals for commercials, television shows, and feature films. I also work with Epic Games on the virtual production front, and I was the director DP of their first motorcycle LED wall demo video that came out in 2019. Walked onto set and the wall was up and we started to look through the camera. It really started to feel like I was just filming in this actual location. Since then, I've been working a lot with the MetaHumans team and doing a lot of work with Vicon and doing really high quality motion capture with MetaHumans. And then very recently, I've been making clothing for MetaHumans on the Unreal Engine Marketplace, as well as film equipment. So I do a lot with Unreal Engine, and I got brought in early in the UEFN alpha program, and just kind of wanted to see what it is I could do in there. So step one, as of recording this, there is not a way to seamlessly get an actual full MetaHuman into UEFN. However, you can bring in skeletal meshes or animated meshes with skeletons. So what I set out to do was basically bring in a MetaHuman kind of proxy LOD body. So it's just the gray MetaHuman and the face doesn't move, but it's the start. So I did a little bit of MOCAP and I was able to get that mesh into UEFN, which was pretty cool to start, to bring in, custom skeletal meshes into UEFN Fortnite Creative. That's never really been done before until UEFN. So that was cool. Next, I wanted some sort of basic interaction system, and shout out to Dom and a bunch of the actual Fortnite creative creators. They kind of got me up to speed on how actual Fortnite creative works. And I basically got a button that I could interact with that would trigger an animation. So that was kind of the next step there. After that, I wanted to kind of flex and play with making custom skins within UEFN. So I basically took the Fortnite skeleton and a ripped Jonesy model, I think from ArtStation from Fortnite, and I rescaled and rigged the Fortnite skin onto a MetaHuman. I just thought that would be kind of funny. I was going to do the rifle too, I just didn't end up getting to it. And then put that into UEFN and launched it. That worked out pretty well. That was cool. And then the final step was to make an in-game NPC or cinematic. So at the time, it might be slightly different now. Disclaimer, this is part of the alpha, and I haven't used the live launch version as of recording this video, so it might be a little different. But basically, in UEFN, we have sequencer now. I hope we still have it. So you can basically put your 3D character, which is my MetaHuman Jonesy. You put the animation file on there, in the timeline. You put the audio synced up, and then you can have other things happen too, like doors can open, or like stuff that would happen in like a virtual music video can be happening in the background. But the cool part with UEFN, or anything that's like a video game, is that the user could interact with it. They could trigger it. Maybe it's reactive to them. There's just so many cool things you can do. And when you combine it with like a MetaHuman or like a well animated 3D character, I mean, that's kind of fun stuff. That's what I like to do anyway. So for my like final test of like doing MetaHumans in UEFN, I had the user basically walk up to the character, interact with him. I think he says something, a door opens, which there's nothing in there, but you could picture something cooler happening. And then you talk to them again. They tell you to go find something, and the animation is synced up with the audio. And it was basically a success. I thought it came out pretty cool. A lot of people at Epic thought it was cool. So now I want to talk about my first impressions with UEFN, and it's kind of blur into like what I'm kind of hoping for it, maybe expecting, and just what I'm excited about with this whole ecosystem. So first, UEFN is distribution on the Fortnite game client, if that makes sense. If you're a game developer like me, you know that first of all, getting users period, players, is really hard. So there's a very large Fortnite player base, and you can make something, some sort of game mode. If it's like an obby, I guess that's a Roblox thing. If it's a cookie clicker, if it's like a gun game, or some other custom game that you can definitely right now with Verse, most likely, or it's just like a kind of free for all like cinematic experience where you just walk through it and like things happen and it's like a museum or gallery or interactive concert. You have a place you could put that where you potentially have a lot of viewers. I wouldn't say that Fortnite Creative is going to give you a lot of discoverability, because there's a lot of people producing content, and I imagine there's going to be even more now with UEFN. But the distribution is there, which if you try to make your own game and get people to like download the demo on Steam or GOG or something like that, even if it's free, that's hard to do. So distribution is massive, straight to business here. Second, there's going to be some monetization. I haven't looked into like what it actually is. There's always like the support a creator code. You have to be a pretty big creator to, I think, make significant money from that. People definitely do. I met some in the alpha. But I'm excited for what other types of creator economy 2.0, 3.0, 4.0, whatever happens there that allows creators who do this type of stuff to make money from it, which enables them to make more cool stuff, is like kind of the important part. I'm super excited for whatever that is. As of I'm going to try to release this on the launch day. I don't know what officially is coming out, so I can't really say anything about it, but I'm excited for people to be able to have the opportunity and the means to make money from this and also have distribution. First impressions about the app itself. So I'm coming from an Unreal Engine 4 and 5 developer. So let's talk about the positives. The cool thing about it is that you get to use some of the native Fortnite assets, and they're pretty cool quality. So when you're painting on the landscape and you start painting rocks and water, you're getting the Fortnite water and rocks, which is pretty awesome. You can use a bunch of their pre-made assets and kind of reverse engineer, like, oh, how did they build the snapping system and whatnot. So that was a lot of fun, just seeing assets I've seen in the game, like in Unreal Engine format. That's pretty awesome. The UEFN editor actually has the Fortnite snapping system built into it. So like even in the editor, the assets will try to snap to each other like they do in the game, which I've never seen a custom UE editor do something like that. That was pretty cool. And if you haven't done it yet, at least during the alpha, I actually don't know what the live version is like. So disclaimer, this is how I was testing it. It was pretty cool to make the level. And normally you would hit play in Unreal Engine and it would just play the game locally. Every time you hit play in UEFN, at least for the alpha, it would upload it to the Fortnite server and then you would just play the level in Fortnite Creative. So that's pretty awesome. And like, I guess I don't know what the approval process is. Like, I can't speak to that for them getting on there and whatnot. But like, in a nutshell, you could make your, you make your app. It does all the things you want. You hit upload, and then it's available to everyone. I'm sure there's lots of quality checks and whatnot, but just that concept that is possible with the distribution and everything is just like absolutely massive. It's pretty cool. So now I'm going to talk about not like cons, but some thoughts, experiences coming from being a UE5 developer. Unreal Engine UEFN is not Unreal Engine 5. It certainly like is overall, but there's a lot you can't do. You can't just straight up make a new actor or blueprint. You pretty much need to work within their concept of devices, which are like blueprints that they've pre-created that are basically, how do I even explain? It's like they're like game objects that you can use in Fortnite Creative, the game editor, that then there you kind of configure to what like their end users, the players, can do. So it's like a game within a game within a game kind of thing. And you can't really make your own objects. But what you can do is bug Ray and all the UEFN developers of, we want this device, and I think that's what we basically did during the alpha. I was like, I need this device to do this, and I need this thing, and like these are my wants. And then they look at it and they go back, and maybe eventually that type of device comes out. But you are a bit limited to the devices, the concepts of like the game objects, and sort of the game modes in a sense, to what exists already. Unreal Engine, you can make whatever you want. UEFN is still Fortnite Creative. You have to kind of work within their guardrails of what Fortnite Creative is, which me, Unreal Engine developer, and not a Fortnite Creative content creator, it took me a while to understand how Fortnite Creative works. That took a while. I still probably don't get it fully, but you can't like completely escape the Fortnite-ness of this, the framework of it. You have to build it within that framework. But I think with UEFN, clearly that framework is expanding until eventually you could make like, with the freedom that you would in like, say, like Roblox, you can make pretty much anything you want there. UEFN, as of recording this, doesn't quite have that many frameworks. You can't build it like that generically, but I bet that's coming in the future. And to wrap up, my final thoughts on UEFN is to talk a little bit about Verse, the new programming language. So one, it's very cool that Tim Sweeney is so vocally excited about Verse. That's almost enough reason to learn it. And I started to learn it a little bit. But this is a personal take. I am kind of all done with typing and coding. I have been developing in UE4 and UE5 for many years using only blueprints, and I'm able to build pretty much whatever I want, especially with Control Rig now. I almost never need to go to C++ for functions that are, again, not exposed to blueprints. I don't really need to go there almost ever. And two, the systems I design are not really hard limited by performance, where you would go to C, you get performance, or multiplayer things that can really best be done in C++. I almost never need to go to C++. And I really like blueprints. I've done C++ long enough to know that I'd rather not, especially in UE5. It's just very technical. Some people love C++ blueprints, or ew, we don't like those. I really like blueprints and visual scripting. So as this all comes together, Verse to me is a little painful. The language itself is pretty cool. When I first used it, it was like really under development. I'm not sure where it's at now. I'm sure it's continuing to improve, but the language is cool. I mean, it's being designed to work for the system. That's pretty awesome. I'm used to Python scripting and Mel scripting and Maya and all sorts of scripting, and it's definitely one of those, and purpose built for Unreal Engine, so that is very cool. However, I am just so used to visual scripting and blueprinting and designing my frameworks that way, and the guardrails that visual scripting gives you, and the iteration time is so fast for me that it is hard to go to Verse. However, if I do start producing content for UEFN and actually trying to publish it and doing projects on that platform. I will definitely have to get back into Verse and learn it. And it did look pretty straightforward. There were some like kind of abstract programming concepts that people were talking about that I was not really familiar with. These are like real coders. I don't really code like sorts and like, you know, like this like kind of hardcore programming stuff that usually has to happen. But it did look cool, and I am excited that, you know, that they're excited about it. And if I have to learn it to build what I need to build next in UEFN, I guess I'll learn it. So that wraps it up. That was like my like kind of like month in the UEFN alpha, and it's really cool. I mean, like just again the concept of like making something on your computer, you know, mocapping, and me, that's what I would be doing, and making like a little interactive experience, kind of like mixing in my video game knowledge with UE5, plus some of like my, you know, cinema skills, virtual production type stuff, and kind of bringing them together, and then hitting publish and being able to share that in 3D and multiplayer. I mean, that is cool. That is the cool thing. And then on top of that, which would enable me to do it, if there's a way to make money as the person developing that that map, that experience, make money from that somehow, and then also be able to possibly make assets for UEFN like I do for the Unreal Engine Marketplace. I forget if I said I do make MetaHuman clothes and stuff like that. That would be really cool too. So there's a lot of cool things about this. The second I heard of this, I was like, wow, that is amazing. And I could probably find the tweet. I tweeted that I was like, I would love to be part of this. I just like threw it into the world on Twitter, and I was like, I would like to be part of this and check it out. And I was in the alpha, but then I had to run back to my real job, which is just UE5, so it's not all that different. But very excited to see where UEFN goes. Thank you so much to Epic Games and the UEFN team for bringing me into the alpha, for supporting all my crazy questions and requests. I cannot wait for MetaHumans and animation and that type of stuff to be even better supported. It's actually pretty good right now. We can make stuff now, like no question. But of course, it can get better. That wraps it up, and I'll see you on the next video. I don't plan on making a ton of UEFN content on this channel. I actually have another channel made in case I do get into that, but here it's just usually normal UE5 stuff. But I'll check you later. Peace.